The wind howled across the dusty main street of Dry Creek as the sun bled orange behind the canyons, setting the wooden signs and glass windows ablaze in the last light of day. The town had seen its share of gunfights, whiskey brawls, and broken dreams, but tonight, something different was coming. Something the Cowboys would never forget. Inside the Silver Spur Saloon, Old Man Garrett polished a glass with trembling hands, his tired eyes darting toward the swinging doors every few seconds. He'd owned this saloon for nearly 20 years, and lately, it was becoming more trouble than it was worth. The Cowboys rode in drunk, broke furniture, scared off the decent customers, and left without paying their tabs. He'd tried everything. New bartenders, hired guards, even called for the sheriff, but nothing worked. That was until he heard about her. They said she was meaner than a rattlesnake and colder than a northern blizzard. A woman who could stare down any man and make him rethink his life choices before he even touched his holster. Some called her the Widow of the West, though no one knew if she was truly widowed or if she had simply buried her past with the men who had crossed her. Garrett didn't care about the stories. He just wanted his saloon under control. When she walked in that night, every sound in the room seemed to die at once. Her boots echoed on the floorboards, slow and deliberate, her long black coat trailing behind her like a shadow. The Cowboys who'd been laughing seconds before went silent, eyes locked on the woman who carried herself like she owned the whole damn West. Garrett swallowed hard and stepped forward. "You must be her," he muttered. She glanced up, sharp eyes the color of storm clouds, and nodded. "You got trouble, old man," she said, voice low and steady. "That's why I'm here." He nodded quickly, explaining that he'd pay her to keep the rowdy Cowboys out, to scare them off, to make sure no one caused trouble again. She smirked. "Scare 'em away? That won't be hard." And with that she claimed her corner of the saloon, a chair by the fire, her hat tilted low, revolver gleaming under the flickering light. The first cowboy who tested her was a tall drifter with a scar running down his cheek. He swaggered in, kicked a chair over, and grinned when he saw her. "A lady in a place like this?" He laughed. "Ain't that sweet?" Without a word, she drew her revolver and fired, a warning shot that split the playing card he was holding clean in two. The bar went dead quiet. The drifter's grin vanished. "Next time," she said coolly, "it won't be the card." He left without another word, boots pounding the floor as laughter from the other patrons broke the tension. From that night on, everyone knew. Dry Creek had a new rule, and she was it. But the strangest thing happened after that. Instead of cowboys staying away, more of them started showing up. They came from miles around, not for whiskey or cards, but to see her. Some said they came to test their luck. Others claimed they wanted to tame her fire, but none succeeded. She handled them all with the same calm defiance, never flinching, never smiling, never breaking the mystery that surrounded her. They started calling her the ghost of the Silver Spur, the woman who couldn't be beaten and couldn't be won. Yet behind those gray eyes, there was a story untold, a pain that made her sharper than any blade. Late at night, when the saloon emptied and the lanterns burned low, Garrett sometimes caught her staring out the window, lost in the darkness. Once he asked quietly, "What made you like this?" She didn't answer right away. "A man did," she finally whispered. "And he's the reason I don't scare easy anymore." Garrett didn't press further. Some stories were better left in silence. Weeks passed and Dry Creek began to change. The Cowboys still came, but they behaved differently now. Fights stopped before they started. Men who once bragged about their toughness lowered their voices around her. Some even tipped their hats in quiet respect. The saloon's reputation grew, not for chaos, but for the woman who kept it in order. Business flourished. Garrett had never made more money in his life. And though she was hired to scare cowboys away, she ended up becoming the reason they kept coming back. One night, near closing, a stranger walked in. He wasn't like the others, calm, tall, dressed in a long coat dusted with trail dirt. His eyes were steady but kind, and when they met hers, something flickered. Recognition, maybe, or memory. "Didn't expect to see you here," he said softly. The room fell silent. She froze, her hand instinctively reaching for her gun. Garrett tensed, feeling the storm about to break. "You've got the wrong woman," she muttered, but her voice wavered. He stepped closer. "No, I don't. You left me in Abilene, remember? Said you couldn't stand the blood anymore." Gasps rippled through the crowd. She stood slowly, eyes darkening like thunderclouds. "That woman's gone," she said coldly. She died with the man who betrayed her. He sighed. Maybe she did. But the woman standing here, she's still fighting ghosts. For a moment the two locked eyes, pain and history tangled between them. Then, without another word, he tipped his hat and walked out into the night, leaving her staring after him, heart pounding in ways she hadn't felt in years. That night, she didn't sit by the fire. She poured herself a drink, something she hadn't done since she arrived, and stared into the glass. Garrett approached quietly. "You all right?" he asked. She didn't answer, just gave a small, weary smile. "You hired me to scare men away," she said. "Looks like I'm the one who's scared now." Garrett didn't know what to say. He'd seen tough men cry, seen hearts break in that very room, but never had he seen her look so human. By morning, word spread through town that the stranger who'd come the night before had been ambushed on the road, shot twice, barely alive. Without hesitation, she saddled a horse and rode out alone. No one dared stop her. When she returned hours later, blood spattered on her coat and eyes hollow from tears, she walked straight to her corner seat and sat down. "He's gone," she said simply. Garrett nodded and placed a glass of whiskey in front of her. On the house. From that day forward, the legend of the Silver Spur grew. They said she never smiled again, but her name became a song among the Cowboys, a warning and a memory. Men still came to the saloon not to cause trouble, but to see the woman who had faced every kind of pain and still stood tall. And in a way she became what the West itself was, strong, scarred, untamed, and unforgettable. So if you ever ride through Dry Creek and hear whispers about a woman who silenced gunfighters with a stare and ruled a saloon without fear, you'll know it's her, the woman who was hired to scare cowboys away, but somehow made them return, again and again, just to feel a spark of the fire that burned within her. Days turned into weeks, and though the Silver Spur buzzed with life, her heart grew quieter. Every time a cowboy laughed too loud or a tune played too long, she remembered the man she'd lost on that dusty road, the only one who'd seen the woman behind the legend. Nights found her outside the saloon, staring at the stars, whispering to ghosts only she could hear. Yet despite the pain, she stayed. The Cowboys came not out of arrogance now, but respect. They asked her advice, shared their troubles, even called her ma'am with bowed heads. She'd been hired to drive them away, but instead, she'd taught them discipline, honor, and restraint, the kind born only from loss. Garrett often watched her and wondered if she'd ever find peace. One evening she finally spoke, voice soft as dusk. "Maybe some fights never end, Garrett. Maybe we just learn to live with the fire." He nodded. Outside, the wind carried her name again, half warning, half